If you have a confession of your own and you fancy one of our smart speakers, it's confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. However, tonight's tale comes from Pablo the Rep.
Okay.
That's how it's signed, Pablo the Rep. Pablo, thank you very much indeed. The smart speaker is yours, whether you're forgiven or not. Father Simon, Sister Katie Susie, and the brother from another gutter. After hearing last Monday's confession about the airport queue jumpers, I was taken back to a terrible act that dates back to the 21st of May 2005, when I was a holiday rep on the beautiful island of Rhodes. I worked in 2 hotels in the resort of Pefkos, presenting welcome meetings, selling excursions, and being on hand to deal with any problems or complaints that our guests may have. Although in reality, that just meant I would listen to people whinge about pointless nonsense. I often wanted to shout at them, "Shut up and go away. Just enjoy your holiday." But I resisted this, because that is not what you expect from a holiday rep, is it? No. Twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays, it was the dreaded airport duty. This involved collecting guests from various hotels around the island, taking them to the airport, assisting them through the check-in process, then waiting around for the inbound passengers to take them to their resorts. You would finally get home anywhere from midnight to 6 a.m, depending on which flight you'd been waiting for. One of the other duties, around once every 6 weeks or so, would be to accompany the kids' reps on a trip to the beach. I don't recall this being in the job description. I never understood why we had to do this in the first place, and I hated every single minute of it.
Oh, right.
Pablo's a tourist.
Yeah, loves it.
So it's the 21st of May. It's a Saturday, and I've been forced into a kids' trip to, I think this is Sambikos Beach. After lots of noisy kids screaming and yelling and games of duck, duck, goose or something, eventually it was time to drop these noisy little brats to their parents. Unfortunately for me, after arriving home, I would have about an hour before airport duty would begin, and I was really not happy at all. The 21st of May was quite an important date in my calendar, and a way out was needed. Father Simon, I wear glasses, and I have very poor vision without them. Naturally, while on the beach, I was wearing my prescription sunglasses. If I were to lose my normal glasses, I would be unable to work that night. So, while nobody was looking, I buried them. Seems a little bit extreme, but anyway.
Okay.
When we got back to the resort, I had to put on the act of a lifetime. I looked everywhere. I emptied my bag. We searched the coach. "Oh no!" I exclaimed convincingly. "I won't be able to go to the airport without my glasses." Fantastically, I was given the night off, and someone was brought in to cover. I went back to my apartment and put on my spare pair. Now, you're probably wondering why I went to such lengths to get the night off, and why the 21st of May was so important. I feel that some people in my demographic might already know. You see, Father Simon, I am a gay man, and it was Eurovision night.
Of course.
Greece actually won it that year with Elena Paparazzou singing My Number One, and it was a great night, so I have no regrets. However, I do seek forgiveness from my colleague Dave, who had to do 2 airport runs that day. I'm sure if it was the FA Cup final or something, he'd have done the same. On Monday, I had to take the day off to go to town to get some new glasses. In fact, I had a quiet afternoon on the beach, and after 20 minutes of looking, dug my glasses up, still spotlessly clean in their case. There must have been another way.
Spotlessly.
Yeah.
I throw myself at the mercy of the collective and the greatest hits radio audience, says Pablo the Rep. I mean, there must have been an easier way, surely, to, you know, if you're going to lose your glasses, just, I can't find my glasses, they're in a cupboard at home or something.
Yeah.
You have to bury them in the sand. Anyway, desperate measures, all inspired by Eurovision. Okay, so Sister Katie, the voice of responsibility.
Yeah, Pablo the Rep, I'm really confused by the fact that you buried your glasses when you could have just left them in your apartment.
Yes.
If you were going to put on such an act.
Under the bed. I can't find them.
I'm incredibly confused. But this is when we find out that my judgment is clouded when it comes to Eurovision, because I love Eurovision. It's one of my favourite Saturdays of the year. And so do you know what, Pablo? Forgiven. absolutely fine.
Interesting. Brother from another gutter?
Yes, I mean, I was beginning to wonder whether Pablo really was cut out for being a holiday rep, given hated all the people, hated all the kids. Not really my kind of thing. I mean, at least he came up with a decent way of doing it. It could have been I'm not feeling too good. But literally can't find my glasses. Where could they be? I've left them on the beach somewhere. So, I mean, just for that ingenuity, I am going to forgive.
But it's a stupid thing to do.
It's it takes a certain nerve, and not being a person who wears glasses, despite what my optician keeps telling me, I am going to forgive.
But you do wear glasses.
But I should wear glasses. But I literally can see. So even though the optician keeps saying, and my wife keeps saying, why are you squinting?
Yes.
Maybe it's time to put on the glasses. I say...
Just an idea.
I know better than my optician.
Right. Okay, so very revealing exchange.
Yeah.
However, the thing is, do you forgive Pablo, yes or no? On the text, 61054. So just before 6 o'clock, we heard Pablo the rep telling us a story about Eurovision. My guess is that Pablo's not a rep anymore.
No.
That he couldn't really stand it anyway. Anyway, the people's verdict is in. Here it comes.
So Jackie says, completely forgiven for his imaginative methods. He has what I would consider the job from hell. He only wanted a bit of pleasure after dealing with the whiners. Marie from Lowestoft says, Pablo needs total forgiveness as Eurovision is the best. Everyone should have the night off. And finally, not forgiven. To be honest, I'd have gone through that whole palaver to avoid watching Eurovision. And that's from Lulu.
If you have a confession, we'd like to see it, and then maybe get you a smart speaker. You send it to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Just read the script, for heaven's sake. Anyway, it's confession time. And today's comes from Timmy. Timmy, thank you very much. If your confession is used, you get a smart speaker. Timmy gets today's. Simon and the powers that be. It's been too long, 22 years in fact, and so I must come clean to yourself and all the wonderful holiday makers that listen to Greatest Hits Radio. One night, this happy-go-lucky 20-year-old lost his smile as a coat-style entertainer. And I wasn't quite sure of this phrase, so we looked it up before. And a coat-style entertainer is, obviously, the kind of entertainer like a blue coat or a red coat, pontins, butlins, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's where Timmy's been working. Picture the scene, a big holiday park in Tenby. The sun is shining, the guests are having a great time, and I'm working hard and playing even harder. One of the jobs for the entertainment team is to meet that night's band. Nobody liked this role because we had a grumbly holiday rep yesterday.
Yeah.
Grumbly coach-style entertainer tonight. Because you had to work all morning and evening, meaning you only had to maximise the hours of between 4 and 6 to get in a nap. You would welcome the band, make them feel comfortable, help them with the get-in and the sound check, make sure the PA system was as they wanted, and so forth. 99.5% of the touring bands that we worked with had a happy-go-lucky approach to life and looked forward to a beverage or stronger before setting up. But not this band. Not the band in question. They weren't happy-go-lucky. They were called Love Herring and were a 4-piece band from southeast England somewhere, I believe. And to be honest, Father Simon, I may well has not bothered. The drinks I had offered simply weren't good enough, and they didn't want to share their stage or time with a spotty 20-year-old who just needs a little bit of space for my game show. Anyway, being a young lad, I thought, well, first of all, something not suitable for radio.
Yeah.
Then I thought, well, set up yourselves. I'm off. Just because you got a publishing deal doesn't impress me. So the evening has begun, and I've hosted bingo, the kids' party time, and the game show. A busy night. And I'm off to socialise with the guests, and I love this bit, as the rules stated that you could have half a lager if you sat with the family and they offered you a drink. Well, we had many families in that night, and I had many drinks.
Oh, right.
Right.
Several halves of lager, that's how it works,
Several,
is it?
yes.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, Love Herring started to play. And to my annoyance, but the delight of the audience, they were actually okay. Everyone is very happy. The dance floor is full, so is my bladder, and I'm a little bit bit unsteady on my feet. Here's the thing. To get to the toilet backstage, you had to go behind the starry cloth on the Nobody wanted to go behind the starry cloth. Anyway, this is also where Love Herring had plugged in. I made my way to the toilet, and there they were. The plugs and cables carrying the AC current to the stage to power the amps and guitars of my least favourite band in the world, who are actually distressingly going down rather well. I can't say I considered this for too long, if at all, so I just went ahead and kicked out the plugs.
Oh, right.
Kick out the plugs! As I believe KLF once said.
No.
Okay.
Jams. Anyway.
Melon farmers. Silence from the stage. Complete silence. I heard the drummer say, "What on earth is going on?" In almost slow motion, a certain young entertainer hits the floor and realises the crowd are very, very annoyed. It's only me that's pleased. However, I quickly sober up. In a mad rush, I plug everything back in and dash to the loo. The band kick on, playing, as I recall, a rather prog and limp version of She Loves You. Everyone else seems to be enjoying it. I waited a good 10 minutes in the loo, processing what I had done. As in, kicking up.
Yes, yeah. No, not processing.
Not
Not what
Yeah.
done there. But it could only get worse, I'm afraid, Father Simon. I had to go back to the customers the same way out, through the starry cloth. This meant that I had to go past the plugs again. And this time I waited for the song to finish. And I did it again. I unplugged the plugs whilst the applause was ringing in Love Herring's ears. I scurried away before they tried and failed to start their next number. And that was the end of Love Herring for the night. Thank you very much. I'm off. I never worked with the band again, says Timmy. There's a surprise. Maybe they should have gaffered their cables down. Maybe it was their fault. I might have admitted to my error if they hadn't been so rude. Maybe I shouldn't have drunk so much, but their refusal of my friendly assistance earlier in the day meant that I was keen to drown out their set. I don't seek forgiveness from the band, who went on to have no hits, but I do want to say sorry to the people on holiday in Tenby who were loving their performance and had an unexpected game of musical statues on the dance floor twice. Okay, well, it's an interesting... I don't think we've had one from a holiday camp for a while. Anyway, but let's see how we sit in judgment on Timmy, who sends in tonight's confession. Sister Katie, Susie.
Yeah, Timmy, firstly, it sounds like you've drunk way too much on the job. I understand maybe having a little bit, but you've taken it too far. Also, surely there were some public toilets that you could have used. I understand wanting to use the ones behind the starry cloth.
Yes.
But there were definitely some more easily accessible toilets for the customers. And it's so annoying when people talk loudly during a gig, let alone unplugging the band. So no, just not forgiven, Timmy. I'm sorry.
I feel sorry for Love Herring.
Yeah.
Brother Matthew.
Has history recorded what happened to Love Herring?
Not much,
with their
I'm afraid.
prog versions of She Loves You?
No.
Doesn't sound promising, I'd say. I've got to think that going behind the starry cloth, that sounds like a euphemism, if ever I've heard one.
It sounds like a good Friday night in Tenby, doesn't
It
it?
certainly does. Don't mind me, I'm just off behind the... Anyway, if there is a lesson to be learned
Yes,
here
what
by
is
a
it?
band, it's gaffer your cables down
Yes.
and be nice to the roadies, because without them, you're toast, sunshine.
Yes.
So definitely forgiven.
Okay, 61054 on the text, please. First word is Simon. Do you forgive Timmy? Yes or no? Once we've dealt with the people's verdicts on tonight's confession, which comes from Timmy, he was entertaining in Tenby, but he got jealous because he wasn't treated very well by the entertaining band who were Love Herring, and he kicked out their plugs and they couldn't carry on performing. He did it twice. People's verdict, here it is.
So Andy says forgiven, but only because nobody in their right mind would name their band Love Herring. Lucy, not forgiven. No wonder they didn't want to have pints with Timmy when he was up to so much trouble. Ali says forgiven. Good on you, Timmy. Love Herring sounds fishy anyhow. And finally, John in Shrewsbury says not forgiven. Whilst under the influence of strong drink, you should never play with Heidi High Voltage.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
that
right.
works.
It's the way you told them.
It was.
Your confession, please. Confessions at greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Where's confession time? A smart speaker about to be handed out. If you have a confession for us, we would love to see it. Get it in, and if we use it, you get the smart speaker. The email is confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. I think today's has a 12 certificate.
Oh,
I
good.
think so.
And here's my warning. Contains old-fashioned parenting.
Right?
Yeah.
Different times, everyone.
Yes,
times.
contains scenes of different times. Father Simon, I've long been troubled by something that occurred many moons ago. What?
Who's
What's
this
their
from?
name?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry. Today's confession comes from Roger.
Roger.
Roger says, Father Simon, I've long been troubled by something that occurred many moons ago. Back in 1990, I was working for a big regional newspaper group. I was a young reporter on a low wage, just venturing forth into the sometimes rocky seas of journalism. A glittering career lay ahead of me, I thought. But to reach it, I had to navigate a route through magistrates' courts, interminable and mighty tedious town council meetings, charity galas, church fetes, golden and diamond weddings, agricultural shows, in which every result had to be laboriously and accurately transcribed for the delight of the entrants. My daily commute had to be managed like a military exercise. My paltry salary didn't support me buying a car, so the daily journey from home to desk was enabled via the marvel of joined-up public transport, the bus. In fact, 3 buses, and if one was delayed or cancelled, the domino effect was obvious. So I did a lot of running, panting and sweating as I dashed from one stop to another. There was one fellow passenger on the buses that I dreaded. His name was Thomas, and he was 5. Thomas was an angelic-looking moppet with a mass of black curly hair. Thomas was my nemesis. Thomas was a monster. Thomas's mother was in her late 20s, early 30s, who thought the behaviour of her pride and joy was a source of amusement for the rest of the captive passengers. Ugh. Clearly she was oblivious to his malevolence, which was manifested in screaming at me, clawing at me, pulling hair, mine, tearing newspapers, mine, wiping sticky fingers on a brand new suit, also mine, and generally revealing himself to be the spawn of the devil. Thomas? I don't think so. His real name was Damien Thorne. It's for younger younger listeners. That's Omen. Damien Omen 2. Now, on one very hot day, I was sitting on the back seat of the single-decker bus next to the emergency exit. In other words, right at the far right hand at the rear of the bus. My jacket was off, laid on my lap. The sleeves of my pristine white shirt were rolled up. My tie was loosened. My bag was on the floor between my feet. It was the summer. I was on my way home. I was happily roasting in summer sunshine. And then it happened. Thomas and Mum got on in a half-empty bus. She chose to sit next to me. Thomas was sucking on a straw, poking out of the remnants of a bottle of Cherryade, but he was also strangely muted, which, given his past behaviour, I thought was rather odd. I put it out of my mind and closed my eyes to enjoy the sun and the soporific vibration of the bus's engine. Quite suddenly I became aware of a growing warm wetness on my hands. Yes, Thomas had honked the contents of his Cherryade bottle onto my folded-up jacket. Then, to make sure I'd got the message, he projectile vomited whatever was left onto my white shirt. I should have mentioned
if you're eating.
Dinner time.
His mortified mum apologised and, amidst trying to clean up her child, offered to dry clean my clothes. I demurred, slid out of my seat, dripping Cherryade and random solid bits of whatever Thomas had eaten previously, minced my way down the aisle to a seat where I sat, damp and sticking of cherry vomit, and wondering how on earth I would make it home. How I hated that kid. So the finale comes a few months later. One evening, Thomas and his mum get on the bus. It's now winter. It's dark, and there was condensation on the windows. They sat several seats in front of me, and Thomas began his routine of bad behaviour. First, he wiped the condensation of the window, and then wiped his wet hand on the back of the person in front of him. His mother moved him away from the window. Then he made a grab for someone's umbrella. His mum, quite irked now, told him forcibly to resist. He did not. Then, standing on tiptoes and reaching upwards, his fingers strained to reach the strip bell. I think everyone, do you remember the long black strip which was in the ceiling? When you touched it, that was the bell for the bus to stop. I heard the words I'd been praying for. If you press that bell, Mummy will smack you, Thomas. In an instant, my hand flew up, and with glee, pressed the bell not once but twice. The reaction from Thomas's mum was one of shock, disappointment and barely controlled fury, which manifested itself in her palm connecting with his buttocks. The slap rang through the upper deck. As I said, this is old-fashioned parenting.
Different times.
Different times.
Then the sobbing child was made to sit on his stinging backside, all the while craning his head to look disbelievingly and accusingly at me. Not long after this shameful act of revenge, I got a pay rise that allowed me to buy a car.
Oh, right.
Thus my days of public transport came to an end, and I never saw Thomas again. Father Simon and your good team, I beg forgiveness for seeking vengeance on a mischievous 5-year-old child, and hope that my spontaneous act of revenge can be expunged from my conscience. Yours sincerely, young Roger, the journalist. So, well, you know, obviously we look to Sister Katie for responsibility in these matters.
Yeah, starting by saying different times. That's where this becomes a little bit tricky. I think, Roger, that you probably could have done more in speaking to the mother and saying, look, I'm not okay with this. Can you stop your child from doing this? But at the same time, it feels like she was trying to control him and it just wasn't going very well. And I hate nothing more than when there's spare seats, you know, on the train or on the bus and then somebody sits next to you. Why do that?
What is on that?
So
Yes.
I'm going to forgive you, Roger. I am.
Okay, brother from another guy.
I mean, clearly reprehensible, Roger, but let's be honest, all of us were very much in your corner there. Every man jack of us was going, yep, I would have done the same.
Because all he's done is actually press the bell.
That's all he's
Yeah,
done.
that's
That's
all
all
he
he's
did.
done. Is that a crime? No, it's not a crime. It's fine to press the buzzer. And who gives a young child cherry aid on a bouncy bus? That's never going to end well, obviously. So I'm going to forgive.
Okay, it's the people's verdict, please. We would like to know, do you forgive Roger? Yes or no? On the text, 61054. If you could start your message with Simon, that would be helpful. 61054. Start it with Simon. You can email simon@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. People's verdict is in on tonight's confession from journalist Roger, who through a various sequence of events on a bar, pressed the bell and the 5-year-old copped it, basically. Let's check in with what everyone is saying. What's the verdict?
Absolutely everyone is forgiving. Lucy in Devon, I don't just forgive him, I actually applaud him. Susie in Nottingham, definitely forgiven. Good on him. I'd have rung the bell multiple times without feeling any guilt. And finally, Rhiannon says, 100% forgiven. Ringing a bell is more innocent than letting a child vomit over a stranger.
Well,
which is probably true.
That's an interesting take. If you have a confession for us, we'd love to hear it. Confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. If we use yours, you get a smart speaker. That's confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. The confession is seconds away. If you have a top confession for us and we like it, you get a smart speaker. That's the way it goes. You send it to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Brother from another gutter is poised with his special confessions pad.
I am.
And Sister Katie waiting to say not forgiven.
Maybe.
Father Simon, Sister Katie, and Brother from another gutter says Sid. Sid sends in today's tale. And this is a part 2, actually, from one which we brought you a few months ago. Following on from my confession... I guess this is a 12 certificate, by the way.
Good. I like them.
Following on from my confession last year about hot tubs and forgetfulness,
Oh, yeah.
I can bring you part 2 of my story. Both myself, Sid, and my wife, Hattie, returned to Austria for our annual skiing holiday. We were determined to learn the lessons gleaned from our earlier embarrassments, which we outlined in our confession with the tale of the naked sauna and the Dampfbad. The Dampfbad is German for steam room or steam bath. It's that kind of thing.
Okay.
Anyway. I should say, Father Simon, we're now both in our early 60s, so not exactly in the first flush of youth, but we can both still cut a dash on the steep, snowy Austrian terrain. As usual, at the end of each day's skiing, we made our way to the hotel's spa area, which includes the obligatory naked sauna, plus the Dampfbad, steam bath, and the jacuzzi, where we'd been caught in the buff by the Danish male revellers some 10 years earlier. See previous confession, which was the source of that one.
Yeah.
However, this time the jacuzzi in our hotel did not require a bathing costume to hide our dignity, so we left our costumes hanging on the hook outside the Dampfbad. He's got a thing about his Dampfbad.
He does.
Just say steam room. Anyway, and we confidently waded in. The water was warm and the bubbles hid everything.
Oh, lovely.
Goes down well with your tea, Mrs. After a few minutes, Hattie decided she'd had enough, got out and put on her costume to return to the clothed area of the spa's relaxation room. Father Simon, maybe it was the soporific effect of the warm, bubbling water. I think I might have nodded off for a minute or two, and maybe I was disorientated. Anyway, I did return to join my wife in the relaxation room, which was now pretty full with other hotel guests. I greeted her and nodded a friendly smile at my fellow relaxees, if that is a word. It is important to remember at all times, Father Simon, that we are all ambassadors of our fine country and to project warm conviviality and politeness wherever we can. Also to respect local customs and culture. The world has seen enough of Brits abroad, living at large and behaving as though they own the place, even if once upon a time they actually did. My wife and I will have nothing to do with that kind of behaviour and those kind of outdated attitudes. And so it was that I dropped my towel to the floor and sat next to my wife. There was, as I recall, a muttered Teutonic tut from the other hotel guests. My wife looked at me and said, "Have you forgotten something?" To my horror, and everyone else's, or so it seemed, I realised that I had indeed forgotten my trunks and left them hanging outside the damp bad.
The damp bad.
Steam room.
The steam room, indeed. I'd also returned wearing someone else's flip-flops. This, it turned out, is a double crime. I quickly replaced my towel, apologised, and hot-footed it back to the steam room, where I retrieved my trunks and searched for my missing flip-flops, which were now being worn by a petite German lady who had been watching the whole sorry affair. I explained my mistake in broken German. "Hello, Fraulein," I said. The flip-flops. Mine? Why I was speaking English in a German accent, I'm not at all sure. She worked it all out anyway, took off my flip-flops and handed them gingerly back to me whilst grabbing her own and running shrieking from the spa, never to be seen again. Father Simon, obviously, again, I need forgiveness, not just from the lovely German woman who will forever be traumatized, but also from the people in the relaxation room who were not very relaxed. In fact, they were traumatized by my antics. I feel as though my good intentions about projecting a better, more decent image of the UK abroad may well have backfired, or losgehen, as they say in Austria.
Losgehen?
Losgehen. Well, maybe that's Austrian for backfire.
Oh, right. Okay.
Anyway, you don't want to backfire in the relaxation room.
No, you don't.
No.
That's Sid's experience. Let's find out what Sister Katie thinks of that kind of shenanigan.
Well, I enjoyed watching Matt with his head in his hands as that progressed. I feel like we knew where it was going,
Yes.
and I feel like you just got a little bit too comfortable. I understand you're on holiday, you're relaxing, but Sid, there was just no need to put other people through that, and yeah, you would have ruined their relaxing safe space.
Yes.
So you're not forgiven.
Sid, here's the thing. Keep them on, okay?
Yeah.
Just keep them on.
If in doubt, keep them on. Brother from another.
I've never understood this need to suddenly get naked in spas. It's never. I mean, call me the biggest prude in Britain, but you know, what's this obsession? I'm not going anywhere near the damp lad.
It's a European.
It's various our continental cousins once again showing the way. So I mean, I'm going to forgive Sid just because when in Rome. So when in the damp lad, you know, don't.
Not damp lad. It's
the damp lad.
Damp bad.
A damp bad.
You are forgiving him.
I'm forgiving just because in the spirit of the season and
Christmas?
What, Easter?
because yeah, it's Easter. Well done.
All right.
Because it's Easter, this time only, Sid, forgiven.
Right. Okay, if you've got a coherent answer and you would like to text us, do you forgive Sid, yes or no, on the text 61054. Start your message with Simon, because the people's verdict on this outrageous behaviour is incoming. But tonight's confession came from Sid, who forgot his costume again. His wife Hattie must have had enough.
Yeah.
Leave him on, Sid, is what the nature is saying. Anyway, people's verdict, how's it going?
So Graham in Cheshire says, definitely forgiven. These continental spas are weird places. Having broken my wrist in an Austrian sauna during Aufguss, I can vouch for his behaviour. Vicky in Northampton says, not forgiven on behalf of all womankind. Can I ask, keep them on at
Keep
all
them on.
times.
Exactly.
And Eddie and his dog Schultz in Nern say, nicked vergamben. He's had 2 confessions read out and mine are still floating in the web cloud.
Yes, that's right. Well, maybe they're better than yours.
No.
Anyway, he gets the smart speaker.